a kid, you told anybody in Europe that you came from Chicago, and they made a Tommy gun sound. They go rat-tat-tat Al Capone. I don't think they do that anymore, but that's, do they? No.
No, they probably don't, but they probably think of Chicago as very much that. But as well as being in the Prohibition era, you very much, your major protagonist, who's a newspaperman, has actually returned from being a pilot in the First World War. And that experience, in a way, infuses all the pages of this novel. And I wonder why remembering the war is so important for you.
I'm sorry, can you ask me that again? Something about, you got a bad connection. You asked me about
the war, yes.
First World War.
Yeah, but the First World War, you're very interested in keeping the flame of that war alive, and you give your major protagonist a history as a pilot, an American pilot in the First World War. Yeah,
well, I know a lot of pilots, and my grandfather, curiously, was working for the Navy in France, working on seaplanes in the First World War. I've always been fascinated by aviation. So the hero of the novel is both an ex-pilot and a newspaperman in the heyday of Chicago newspapers, you know, D's, Dem and Do's, and stealing pictures and smoking cigars, and all the reporters carrying guns. So it's my attempt to imagine myself back into that world.
And no sooner had you finished the novel than you started a play on Harvey Weinstein. I wonder why you chose that particular character at this time, funnily enough.
Well, I don't know. Listen, you know, I was just listening to your newscast as I was waiting to talk to you, and everybody's talking about Brexit. So, I mean, I don't know how anybody over on your side of the pond can go through the day without exchanging gossip and information and anxieties about Brexit. And on this side over here, well, it's all sex scandals. So that's informing everybody's day as we try to come to an understanding of a new event in our midst.
Yeah. But I wonder...
That's what we got.
Yeah, I wonder, because, I mean, you know the underbelly of Hollywood. You've also, in plays and written about the position of men in power, masculinity, and so forth. And I wonder what you think this issue, particularly not just with Weinstein, but generally for men, is about finding their place in society and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Well, I don't know. You know, I mean, politicians, we have them over here, you have them over there. They're all a bunch of lying, cheating whores. And they always have been, which is why in this country we have a constitution. And the purpose of the whole constitution comes down to kick them out every couple of years, because if they haven't gone bad yet, they will. So what we're talking about, both with Brexit and with Harvey Weinstein, is the incredible variety of human nature, which is always changing and always the same. So every generation discovers the same thing that the previous generation discovered as you get older, which is that nothing ever changes.
But surely you must be optimistic that something will change in these human relationships and the way that actually particularly men talk to women and deal with women. And I wonder, do you have experience of that kind of thing in Hollywood, the harassment, more of the Me Too campaign? Did you see it when you were there generally working in Hollywood as a scriptwriter, as you do now, as a playwright, as a film director?
Well, things are changing, and things are changing for the better in many, many ways throughout the Western world, both in the position of minorities, in the position of women, and the position of gays. They're changing phenomenally since the days when I was a kid. When I was working very, very seriously in show business, I didn't see... I spent most of my time as a writer and a director, which is to say you're either off the set as a writer or you're on the set, but you're in charge as the director and you don't know anything except what are we doing for the next shot. But I got a lot of children who are actresses and put up with in the past and put up with now a bunch of sexual exploitation. And I'll tell you what, if Hollywood is seriously interested about sexual exploitation, stop putting the pornographic scenes in the movies.
So tell me, when do we expect to see your play About Harvey Weinstein on Broadway?
Well, I think actually you guys are going to see it over there before we see it over here. We're planning to do it first in the West End in perhaps 9 or 10 months.
Well, that's great news. And what's it going to be called?
It's called Bitter Wheat.
We'll look out for it. Thank you very much indeed, David Mamet.